All right, let's just skip the small talk and jump right into one of the most fascinating digital behaviors of our modern age. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking the psychology behind people who choose silence over story posts. We're going to decode a behavior that pretty much everyone has noticed, but very few people actually understand.
So I want you to take a second and picture that one person you know. You know exactly who I'm talking about, right? They are the absolute first to view every single story update you post. They know exactly where you went on vacation, they saw what you had for dinner last night, they probably even watched all 3 of those shaky videos of your dog at the park. But when you click on their profile, nothing. Crickets. It's a complete digital ghost town. They never broadcast their own life. Why is it that some people watch absolutely everything, yet post absolutely nothing?
Okay, let's dive into this. We're really looking at a massive contrast between two completely different ways of existing online. On one side, you've got ephemeral story posts. This is the world most of us live in, right? It's loud, it's constant, and it's super fleeting. It's just a never-ending cycle of uploading 24-hour glimpses into our lives, a constant stream of broadcasting. But on the flip side, we have digital silence. This is quiet, it's permanent, it's deeply observational. Choosing not to participate in that chaotic energy of constant updates is actually a very grounded, intentional way of navigating the digital landscape. It's not an accident at all. It's a profound psychological choice.
Section 1. The Digital Wallflowers.
These folks are entirely present in the audience, but completely absent from the stage. You know, there's this huge misconception out there that if you aren't posting, you simply aren't engaged. But the data from our source material tells us the exact opposite. These users are highly active consumers of content. They're reading, they're watching, and they are staying perfectly up to date with their social circles. Their silence is absolutely not a lack of engagement. They're simply choosing to buy a front-row ticket to the show of your life rather than forcing themselves to get up on the stage and perform their own. They are the ultimate spectators in a world that is frankly obsessed with broadcasting.
Section 2. Decoding social media silence.
Let's establish exactly what this is. Digital silence is a conscious psychological choice to withhold broadcasting yourself, acting as an observer rather than a performer. And I really want to emphasize that word, conscious. We so often think of not posting as just, well, a lack of action, like the person just forgot to pull out their camera, or maybe they didn't do anything interesting that weekend. We mistake silence for inaction. But psychologically speaking, this is a highly specific, active posture. By taking a deliberate step back, these individuals are consciously defining their relationship with their peers and with the technology itself. They're actively opting out of the broadcast requirement.
Section 3. The Psychology of Restraint.
So we have 3 main psychological drivers behind this behavior, and they really reshape how we think about social media. First up, the desire for personal privacy. In a world that implicitly demands we share everything, keeping a moment entirely to yourself is kind of the ultimate luxury now. It's that simple joy of eating a fantastic meal without having to prove to the internet that you actually ate it, or stressing over whether the overhead lighting makes your pasta look weird. Second, the alleviation of social anxiety. Posting requires you to constantly manage how others perceive you. Will they like it? Is this angle good? Do I sound like I'm bragging? Holding back completely eliminates that entire category of anxiety. And third, the conservation of mental energy. It takes a massive amount of cognitive effort to constantly curate your life for an invisible audience. Choosing not to do that means protecting your own peace of mind. It's not that they have nothing to say, it's that their energy is deliberately spent elsewhere.
And when we break down the mental bandwidth allocation of a silent user, the strategy becomes abundantly clear. A massive 50% of their digital energy goes to internal processing. Now, what does internal processing actually look like in the real world? It means genuinely thinking about and experiencing their life in the present moment, totally without the filter of an app. Another 45% goes to observing others, being that highly engaged audience we just talked about. And a tiny, almost non-existent 5% goes into broadcasting. Silent users are consciously shifting their mental bandwidth away from content creation so they can save their energy for real-world processing. It's honestly an incredibly efficient energy-saving psychological strategy.
Section 4. Rejecting performative culture. We're looking at a pretty stark contrast here. Authentic living versus performative broadcasting. Our modern digital culture has this pervasive pics or it didn't happen mentality, right? It puts immense pressure on us to constantly perform our lives rather than just live them. You can't just take your dog for a walk anymore. It has to be a cinematic, perfectly filtered sunset walk for your story. Abstaining from this endless loop serves as a direct psychological reaction against that pressure. These users are choosing authentic living, meaning they're having private experiences that exist solely for them and the people physically in the room with them. They are actively reclaiming the unrecorded moment. The psychological math here is incredibly simple, but wow, is it profound. Less performance pressure equals less digital anxiety. By completely removing themselves from the content creation loop, silent scrollers are utilizing a highly effective modern coping mechanism. Think of performative culture like a relentless treadmill. You run, you post, you check for views, you stress, you repeat. Silent scrollers, they don't have to check their phones every 5 minutes to see who viewed their story, because there is no story to view. They've stepped completely off the digital treadmill, and the moment they step off, the anxiety evaporates. It is a literal masterclass in self-regulation.
Section 5. Silence as an active choice.
When someone makes the decision not to post, they are navigating a rapid but very deliberate internal psychological sequence. Step 1. They experience the pressure to post. They see a beautiful view or they're at an awesome concert, and their brain automatically fires off that modern instinct. Hey, take a picture for your story. But then comes Step 2. They evaluate the mental cost. This is the crucial moment. They realize that taking that picture pulls them completely out of the live experience. They recognize that posting it ties their mood to notifications for the next 24 hours, constantly pulling them back to a screen. Having weighed that mental cost, they arrive at Step 3. They consciously choose peace. They literally just put the phone back in their pocket.
Ultimately, what we're observing here is a person who is deeply empowered by their digital boundaries. We live in a society that often equates visibility with value. The underlying unspoken rule is basically, if you aren't seen online, do you even exist? The digitally silent person answers that question with a massive, resounding yes. They don't need a digital receipt to prove they had a good day. Their restraint is actually a display of incredibly strong personal boundaries. They are actively protecting their rich inner life from the constant, exhausting demands of public consumption.
I really want to leave you with a thought that captures the absolute core takeaway of the research we've unpacked today. Digital silence is not a lack of engagement. It is an active choice to protect one's peace. When you see someone viewing your content but never sharing their own, they aren't ignoring the world, they aren't boring, and they are definitely not disengaged. They're just incredibly careful about how they let the world interact with them, fiercely guarding their own peace of mind.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to turn the mirror onto you. Take a critical look at your own daily habits. What does your digital footprint or your digital silence say about your psychology? Are you broadcasting for connection, or are you maybe just performing for validation? And if you chose silence tomorrow, what kind of peace might you discover?